We're live. Well, thank you, Arno, for joining Team Dare to Dream today. We're going to talk about the leadership ladder because I know, like, some of the diamonds on my team, they're a little bit confused by what they're reading and how to interpret it, because sometimes it looks like it's saying that their next goal is actually something less than what they're already at. And so I know a lot of coaches are using the leadership ladder as a really great benchmark tool to help their coaches grow. And so I know I'm not as educated about it as I should be either. So that'd be a great topic.
Awesome. Very good. Well,
the reason Patty, we can't see her, is because she's at work at her job and she's incognito right now.
Oh, and she still made the time to be here.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks for being on, Patty and Deb, and for everybody else watching, hello. So we're going to talk about the leadership ladder. And before we do that, though, I was reading an article on Mind Tools, and it was an article that talks about stretch goals. And it basically said something like this: some of the world's greatest feats were accomplished by people not smart enough to know they were impossible. Okay. Some of the best accomplishments ever, the greatest feats, were accomplished by people that thought that were not smart enough to know that they were impossible, right? So you think about examples like the Wright brothers, right? Space exploration and face transplantation and eradication of polio and so on and so forth. And what Bill and Melinda Gates are doing, for developing countries with the eradication of malaria. And so there's a lesson there about stretch goals. And for a team named Dare to Dream, you guys should put no limits whatsoever on what you want to achieve. A part of what stretch goals involve is really you saying, I don't care what it takes. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to make it happen, right? And so Dare to Dream, really, I love that name because it really encompasses who we are as Beachbody, what we try to do, and how we execute on the dreams that we have. So, for instance, when I started back in 2011, we had 45,000 coaches, and we were ecstatic at that number. We were 5,000 coaches away from 50,000. It was a big, big deal. And we were sitting there thinking, boy, if one day we get to 100,000 coaches, how is that going to be like, right? And sure enough, we eclipsed past that. And we thought 150, and then 200, 250, 350. Now we're thinking 400,000. And I will say, as we're talking about Dare to Dream and stretch goals, a lot of you start asking yourselves questions like, whoa, are we saturated? Like, what's going on? Are there so many coaches? And this is something that Carl has shared, that we feel that a really good number of coaches that we can have just in the United States and Canada is 4 million. Okay, 4 million coaches. That's what the market we feel can bear. And again, remember, it's just United States and Canada, just North America. We live in a big, wild world, right? It's a huge world, and there's limitless opportunities for us as Beachbody. But we know that if we do a really, really good job here in the United States and Canada, that it can really serve as a trampoline into the rest of the world, into international expansions, where this business that you started with literally, $50, and getting on your Shakeology can turn for you into this multinational business where one day you can talk to your friend or your cousin, in Sydney, Australia, and you go visit them, and then you do a fit club down there, and you do a business presentation or a training, or you go you go to the UK for tea time, and you're building a business, and you've got customers there, and you've got people that are losing weight and getting healthy, both physically, fitness wise, and financially. How cool is that, right? That's what a stretch goal does. Now, as we were thinking, and so I'm painting the picture as to how the leadership ladder came about, okay? As we were thinking about that very subject of how do we solidify our coach base, how do we make sure that their business have deep roots, right? We started thinking about the leadership ladder, right? We started thinking about duplication of yourself, right? That's the number one thing that every single emerald and diamond will look to. We started looking at really strong residual income based on strong volume. Okay, all that we started thinking about. We started thinking about developing multiple leaders in your team. All those are things that we talked about. Now we talked about many different ways that we can achieve that, and I always say that simplicity is on the other side of complexity. So we went through this exercise. It was a complex exercise of trying to find out how do we connect the dots in all this without complicating it too much, right? And in a certain way, you need to have data, and all that data going through then comes about, and the leadership ladder comes. And we've used consulting firms, we've worked with top coaches, and of course us ourselves, bringing our experience and looking at what worked, in our previous lives to build a long-term solid business, because that's what you want. I'm hoping that if you're a coach and you're a serious coach, that you're not building a business to last a lunchtime. You're looking to build a business to last a lifetime that really, again, is deeply rooted, and is going to be there for you to pass on if that's what you want to do. And that's how the leadership ladder came about. It really came as a result of, hey, listen, we're satisfied with the results that we're getting, but how do we solidify these results so that they're not, based on just a quick 90-day challenge group or a 60-day challenge group or 21-day or a 30-day challenge group, right? That's how the leadership ladder came about. And so we actually ran numbers. I'm going to share a few numbers that I've got written down here on my paper. We studied diamonds, and we looked at diamonds that had met certain criteria that we were looking for, criteria that actually corresponded to some of the criteria that we wanted to put in place for the leadership ladder between January 1st, 2014 and October 31st, 2014. And out of those new diamonds that had just advanced, 63% of the ones that were doing the activities that we were talking about advanced to a higher rank, whether 1-star or 2-star diamond. The others that did not do that, only 10% advanced that had not done those activities, right? So it quickly showed that, okay, there is something here. There is something here behind just the rank and the recognition, because part of what our compensation plan does not do, it doesn't really recognize volume production, right? Which we know that volume production is one of the most important things that you can be doing to solidify your income, to solidify your rank, and to make sure that you've got strong volume and you're building leadership in your team, in your organization. And so as we looked at various different coaches, it's very clear to see that everybody's driven differently. Okay, let me say that we recognize that, and I think that you've always got to go back to how you're driven to figure out your activity, right? But we feel that the leadership ladder will just help you elevate a little bit more and maybe stretch you a little bit more in areas that maybe you would not have been stretched before. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here just so I can bring up the leadership ladder, graph. Can you guys see the leadership ladder graph?
Yep.
You see anything else around it, or just the leadership ladder?
No, that's it.
Okay, so that's the leadership ladder there. You're familiar with it. We started going through essentially saying, okay, well, what does one have to do to assure themselves of a strong volume, and what are some benchmarks that we feel would be good? Okay, so as you look at this here, from the orange part all the way to the light blue part, that's kind of your progression. That's where you want to be. And you want to find out exactly where you are, because obviously it's going to be extremely important for you to know where you are to understand where you need to go or where you're going. Okay, so let me explain a few things. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. The commissions, we call them bonus points, okay, but these are actual commissions per month. Success Club 5, obviously you get that. You just, achieve Success Club 5. Highest paid rank, coach, then Emerald, Diamond, 2-star, and 5-star. PS means personally sponsored coaches with 1+ SC point. Really, all this shows, it shows what your coaches are doing. Are you developing productive coaches? Or are you the only game in town? Are you the only one that's doing it and nobody's following you? Or are you doing it and you've identified a couple more people that can do it with you, right? Then you see the benchmarks 2, 4, 6, 8, and then week leg volume. And we put week leg volume for a reason. It's because obviously that's where you cycle from. That's where you get paid from. And some of you, as you're building your businesses, you are starting to understand more about volume and all that jazz, right? So that's the week leg volume. This is a monthly volume, by the way, whatever is your monthly volume. So you take your week leg, you add up the 4 weeks, and that gives you your team volume, week leg team volume. Then PS team leaders, okay, so that's again, team leaders are right here. These are how many personally sponsored team leaders do you have? How many have you developed? How many have you developed, in your team to be where, you need to be? Okay. So that's kind of where it's at. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in a little bit deeper and show you a couple things that I think, some of you might know, some of you might not know, and also share with you an actual roadmap that we've got in the back office that you might or might not be familiar with. Okay. Okay. So let me stop this share here. And I'm going to open up another window that will help you see more of what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Okay, can you see this screen now? You see that screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Leadership ladder there. Okay.
Yep.
So, so a couple things that are important is it's under a leadership ladder, but let's say you want to understand team volume. I think that's important for you to know exactly where it's at. You go to my business. Where is graphical genealogy here? My volume. And this will come up and you'll see this basically, okay? So you see the left leg here, right leg volume. And so if you want to find out where, what your volume is, just go there, find out your left leg volume or your right leg volume. And that way you can understand where you stand in relation to the team, to the leadership ladder. Another thing that is pretty cool for you to see is, let me type this in here. I'm going to stop the share again. I want to show you where you can actually see where you are. And I think you referred to it earlier. Deb, you talked about some people weren't confused as to where they were. So let me show you this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so if you look at this, it says leadership ladder benchmarks. Okay. And so this is where it shows you where you are at, right? It shows you what your commissions are, Success Club, highest paid rank, coaches in Success Club 5, week leg volume, and PS team leaders. This is where you see essentially where you are. And then it also will tell you here. So you might say here that, that you're a business starter. And then here it might say business leader. And basically you want to know, so it tells you what your next rung is, and then it should show you in here what you need to do and what's lacking essentially for you to get there, right? Now, whatever this is, use this as a base to know where you are, but do your research, right? Find what your volume is. Be very familiar with how many coaches you need to become PS leaders. Be very familiar with how many coaches you have that are achieving Success Club 5. Obviously, highest paid rank should be a pretty, straightforward figure. Success Club, it's whether you're hitting Success Club or not. And obviously, if you're a diamond coach watching this or an emerald coach watching this, you know that Success Club is the number one thing that you've got to do. Matter of fact, I was talking to Scotty Hobbs the other day, and I said, you know, he's in a millionaire club, and I said, what do you recommend someone does to just really break through? And he says, Success Club 10. Forget, bypass Success Club 5. Focus on Success Club 10. Because a couple things are going to happen. You're going to start developing, more customers that will develop more leaders, and you replace you basically replace the skill by the numbers, right? When you first get started, you just don't have the skill yet, right? And so what you're doing, you're trying to replace what you don't have in skill by numbers. And basically he said, keep achieving Success Club 10 as a non-negotiable. You have to do that basically, okay? And so I love that because he really just kind of breaks it down and says, keep it simple. I guarantee that if you're doing it yourself, you're going to start influencing more people to do it themselves, and you're going to have the numbers to back it up with, okay? So far, so good, Deb?
Yeah, I was just looking at, the number of our diamonds that hit Success Club last month.
Okay.
And out of my PS, I should have 12 diamonds. If everybody's in rank, I had 3 of my PS hit Success Club through my Success Club diamonds.
Okay.
So
okay.
Patty did. So
good.
That's an issue. And I've heard some diamonds say, well, I'm spending more of my time focusing on my team. So that's why I'm not focused on hitting Success Club. And my opinion is you got to put your own oxygen mask on first. And it's like being a product of the product. If you're telling your customers to drink Shakeology and you're not, there's no credibility. And I think it's the same thing. If you're advising your coaches to hit Success Club and you're not, that's a credibility issue.
Yeah. I think that's extremely important to point that out, and I'm glad you brought it up. A lot of that has to do with time management, right? And so I think it's also important. It leads into this. I was going to talk about how do you do that. There's 6 key points here, but as far as how you manage your time, you've got to be at least 60% on your business and 40% on your team. Unless you get to a point where your team is so large, then you can adjust. But I can tell you right now, just an example, Brigitte Linford, I've shared this with you, Deb. She's a superstar diamond. She spends 50% of her time on her personal activity and 50% of her time on her team. And she does this very efficiently. She works from 9 to 3. From 9 to noon, she's focused on literally power hour, following up with her challengers. She's checking on her like page. She's boosting her ads and doing the marketing that she needs to do. She's designing new campaigns that she's going to share either on her personal or her like page. All of that goes back to her business, right? It's all about if the activity that she's doing between 9 and noon is, it's got to be a new customer or a new coach generated by it, or a follow-up with a customer or a coach, right? One of those 4 really is where she's focused on. Then at noon, she starts really dealing with the team, which means going into her coach group, following up with her team, doing team calls, doing individual calls, doing 3-way calls, all that. She starts, really diving into her team, and really it's a 50-50. Is it always cookie cutter? No, but she always makes sure that she takes care of her business before moving to the team. And when you're getting started, here's the reality. When you're getting started, you don't know who's going to go, who's not going to go, right? I was talking to a coach, and it wasn't until coach number 23 that they found their coach, that literally that one coach became a 5-star diamond and obviously changed the landscape of their business, right? But if they had started at coach, 8 by getting to diamond, they wouldn't have seen that coach, right? They wouldn't have seen the growth. And by the way, that growth led right into this team volume that we're talking about, because that coach happened to be on their weak side. Imagine that, right? And so that goes back to what I talked about earlier, which is Success Club 10, really focusing in on what you do first. Then it really just kind of goes into this, into other areas of your business, okay? So here are like 6, key points that you have to do. So now what? We know what the leadership ladder is. Now what? Okay. First step, identify where you are. You need to know where you are. You need to know where you are so that you know exactly where you need to go next, right? Are you a business starter? Are you a team builder? Are you a team leader? Are you an org leader? Are you an executive leader, right? Identify where you are, because that which is measured can be rewarded and can actually be acted upon, right? So you have a plan that will push you there, right? That's number one. Number two, identify areas of improvement, okay? And so this one goes back to what John Maxwell talked about, which is your personal growth plan, okay? So let's identify what those areas are, okay? Is it social media? You need to grow your social media presence. You need to improve your social media content. Is it leadership? Because this leadership ladder will test your leadership, right? And so do you need to learn influence? Do you not have the right people, the people yet in your business? And chances are, if you're a diamond, you haven't added the right people yet, right? You've just got to keep adding more people. And so what is it? Is that, influence? Is that a lack of trust? Can you develop that? The nice thing about leadership, it can be developed. It's a skill. Meaning you can work at it, okay? All of us are born the same way. And through experiences, we learn the skill, right? So you've got to learn the skill of influence. Or, could it be your challenge groups? Are you not creating enough success stories through your challenge groups that can lead into, coaches, right? Or is it learning about marketing more, right? Understanding how do I market myself and share who I am versus putting up this before and after of someone else, right? Is it, am I not coming across as this genuine person? What am I doing? There's certain things where you need to improve, right? And the number one place is you need to improve. The more you improve, the better you get. Let me give you an example. I spoke to a 6-star diamond coach yesterday, and she said, I was a diamond coach for 1.5 years. I was stuck. I was like stuck at diamond coach. But that whole time, I kept chipping away. And here's what I was doing. I was involved in leadership development. The number one author that she read was this guy. Okay, does this sound familiar? John Maxwell, Developing the Leader, within. Some of the other books that she read was this. She needed to be effective. This book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. She realized that she only has so much time, and she realized that she needed to grow, that she needed to have influence, that this business is about influence, right? And so she said, I might not be where I need to be, but I know I'm going to get there. I know that this is a skill that I can develop. And if other people have done it, then you bet your last dollar that I can do it myself, right? So here's what happened. 1.5 years being stuck at diamond, all of a sudden, 2-star diamond, right? The thing with this business and the thing with this leadership ladder, you might be a team builder for a while and you're chipping away, you're building confidence, you're building influence, you're developing your leadership muscle, your leadership mental muscle. And all of a sudden you jump to team leader and you go, what happened? It's like over time, all these factors that you keep improving on that add up. They don't add up on your timeline. So she goes 2-star, right? Guess what? A couple months later, 4-star. And then a couple months later, 6-star diamond. She's a 6-star diamond. She had been stuck a diamond for 1.5 years, right? So if you've been a diamond for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years, it does not matter. You need to have amnesia. You need to say, I don't care what has happened. I'm focused on what I need to do to get to where I need to be, right? And is that going to require some hard work? Absolutely. Are you going to have some scrapes and bruises? Yeah, you're probably going to have some of that. But think about that. If she had given up after 1 year and forgotten about those 6 months couldn't have opened up for that 2-star and 4-star and 6-star. And she's on her way to 10-star. She's already committed to being a 10-star, 10-star diamond. And I think that's phenomenal, right? And so that number 2 point of identifying areas of improvement, it's a key one. It's a key one for me. It's a key one for Deb. It's a key one for everybody else that's listening to this. Number two. Number three, you need to identify what your goals are for your business. And let me say this. Some of us are driven just by recognition, right? I want to just get to diamond, and I get to diamond, and I get recognized on the national wake-up call. Well, no, you've got to be a one-star diamond now to be recognized on the national wake-up call. But I get to one-star diamond. I'm driven by that. I get my recognition, and then it's like I forget everything else, right? I can't tell you how many diamonds are exactly at 8 coaches, and I call those heart attack diamonds because, some of those coaches, they're, mom, best friend, niece, dad, brother, and then a few actual coaches. Then the emerald is the spouse, and then, an actual coach, that's an emerald coach, right? How scary is that, right? You're just right at 8. And yes, you've got the recognition, but think about the abundance of what's available for you if you would push a little bit more, right? And so let's think about longevity, right? So what are your goals for your business? Is it just recognition? Is it a little bit more? Depending on what your goal is, you're going to have to calibrate. I always say this, your goals and your activities have got to be in balance, right? And so if your goal is here and your activity is here, this business requires honesty. Be honest with yourself, okay? You need to say, okay, based on my current circumstances, my goal being here, my activities being here, I'm not willing to change my goal, so I'm going to up my activities to match my goals, right? And so, or you've got to say, my activity is here, let me be honest with myself, I don't have time, or I am not making time. Those are 2 different statements, by the way. And I'm going to lower my goal to here. That's okay. The best thing about this is you're the CEO of your own business. Debbie's not going to tell you what to do. I certainly won't tell you what to do. And Carl will never tell you what to do, right? We'll just tell you what's possible. We're going to tell you what's possible. And we hope that what's possible is what drives you. What's possible for you and your family is what drives you. What's possible, that why that made you cry at the beginning of the year is worth it to you. Your family is worth it to you. Your time, your freedom is worth it to you, right? Paying off that debt that is weighing down on you is worth it to you, right? And you've got to ask yourself, and nobody can really tell you that, right? You've got to go somewhere quiet and say, I'm going to really focus on this. I'm going to get in my mind. I'm going to really focus in. I'm going to say that I'm worth it. Then after that, I'm going to establish the plan, and I'm going to go all out, right? The slow and steady route, I hate to say, it's not very awesome. Okay, it's like you've just got.
Slow and steady is an excuse that people make.
What's that, Deb?
I think slow and steady is an excuse that people make. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. I think going so fast builds so much momentum, right? It's like, I just started Body Beast. I'm on day 4, and boy, it's tough. Okay, it's like you're going through, and it's like you're sore. You're like perma sore, right? You're gonna feel like that in the business. You're going to feel like your back is always against the wall, that you've got all these deadlines, you've got all these balls in the air. But I'm telling you, that's a sign of success. That's a crazy thing. That's a sign that you're on your way. Don't let go. You're like that coach. Your name is Jenny Swisher. You're like that coach. After 18 months of being stuck, you just keep going. You stick to it. You keep improving. You keep chipping away. And all of a sudden, you go 2, 4, 6. And by the way, when you talk to Jenny, she's not a, extremely outgoing person or anything like that. She's had to work on herself tremendously, right? And so that's a testament to personal development. And by the way, Deb that we've got on this call, she's had to work on herself. You've heard her story. She's had to work on herself, right? So I challenge you to work on yourself and then establish your goals, okay? Number 4, are you rank or volume driven, okay? You have to decide. Are you goal or rank driven? Now, I don't think that the 2 are necessarily, are going to cancel each other out. But I think that if you just focus on one or the other, it's not gonna be conducive to a solid business, right? And so you've got to decide. Okay, yes, I want the rank, and it's absolutely right, because you know what? Most of us want recognition. Recognition, matter of fact, rank higher by leaps and bounds over money or anything like that. So I understand the need for recognition, but can we do the recognition while also helping other people do the same, right? Because it's not fun to be at the top of the mountain and you're overlooking all your minions and nobody else is there with you. You want everybody else to be there with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deb wants to be there with you. Deb wants to make sure that you qualify for the leadership retreat, right? But it will take that all out, never give up ability to just say, I'm going to go through all this and I'm going to make it happen regardless of what happens, right? And so you've got to understand that. Are you rank or volume driven, right? Number 5, this one is like, we've beaten this one like to death, basically, right? It's like, every single successful coach, it does not matter. They do their 3 vital behaviors. They do. And I like to call them 4 vital behaviors because the 4th one is social media. There's no question social media is a vital behavior. And so regardless of what happens, do you have a schedule in place where, the principle here is commitment. Okay. So let's talk about the principle of commitment. I'm committed to my goals. I'm committed to being a team leader or team builder, team leader, org leader, whatever. All that is dictated by your commitment. Your level of commitment will dictate the activity that you put in, then will dictate the results, right? It's not commitment equals results. No, commitment dictates the work that you put in. The work that you put in dictates your results, right? So what is the principle that you absolutely will not disrespect, right? What is your stake in the ground that you say, regardless, I'm going to do this? You need to dig deep and find it, right? Because every single successful coach will be engaged in those 3 vital behaviors, right? If there is one that they're lacking at, they'll work at it. They'll just chip away, keep chipping away. I think that's extremely important. That's 5. And then 6 is really advanced placement, right? So as you start adding coaches, and this is a topic for another day, and I'm sure that Deb has trainings on this, is as you start building your business and you start adding all these coaches, well, obviously it will influence how you place and what, how you place strategically, right? And I think it's very important to understand your placement, right, left, 200, 100 team cycle. I think it is very important to understand that. And it's worth it to understand that because let me tell you a nightmare story. I was talking to a 2-star diamond and they did not set preferred placement.
Mm-hmm.
The back office was placing all over the place, like left, right, center, whatever, right? And I started tracing through one of her top coaches. And literally it was like inside of an inside, like nothing outside. It was like inside. So there was like no rollover basically, right? And it was a nightmare situation, right? And it's like, catch it now, figure it out now. Just understand the basics. Don't get too complex with it. Understand the basic of right and left, outside leg, and make sure that you get that because it is your business.
Mm-hmm. Great. Arno, can I share my screen? I want you to look at Patty's leadership ladder from, I guess, last month. And I want you.
You're going to make me the guinea pig?
Well, because you shared it. I mean, you're like, only you and Katie did what I asked.
That's true. I did post it. That's true.
Okay, let me find it here.
Let's look at mine.
Can we make this bigger?
No, it says TBD now, so I don't know if it's being recalculated.
No, that's why we're looking at the one you posted. So the question is that, like, for instance, Arno, like highest paid rank, diamond, then it says next rung benchmark, emerald. And that's where people are getting confused. They're like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so business starter. Oh, I see why. Okay. Do you know why? And we've got to catch that is because a business starter is a coach.
Right.
And then a team builder is an emerald.
Mm-hmm.
And so the system is reading, team builder should be emerald. And they're putting that as emerald. And so it's a system thing that we've got to fix. And I'm glad you bring that up. I'm going to talk to the team because they're going, okay, you're currently a business starter based on all the numbers that we see here.
Mm-hmm.
Your next rank being team builder, you should be an emerald. That should catch and say, if you're looking at the programming, it would say, if rank equals diamond, next rung equals diamond. That's really what needs to be like a system thing.
I'm sure that's how they did that. I think my guess is that it's basically the next rung is going on last month's and not this month's because at this time the month wasn't finished. And so if it's going on last month, then I know that my week leg volume is weak, and I'm focusing on that. So my take on this is, because I'm a programmer too, and I'm sure that's how they're doing it. But my thought is that it's going on one metric, and that's how it's determining the next step. But I'm basically just using it to identify where I know I need to focus and improve.
Yeah.
I'm not getting hung up on, oh, it's wrong. I'm like,
Right.
okay, I understand now where I need to, which I knew anyway, but that's kind of how
Well, like here's Katie's. I know she was kind of, concerned. She's 1 star.
Yeah.
And it tells her next goal is diamond. She's
Yeah.
Success Club 10, and it tells her next goal is Success Club 5. She's like, well, this ladder, this doesn't mean anything. So I guess, it was really, how are we supposed to read this little report here? What is it supposed to tell us to go do? And it almost seems like that we really need to be focusing. I mean, I think that the last month and this month are the important columns. And then to go back to where you click here for more information about this report, and you get to see the leadership ladder and the progression. Yeah. So you know that the reason you're still at a team builder level is because, you have, this one area. Like for me, I was looking at mine, and I've still got all these TBDs. I'm a team. Well, it doesn't say what I was. I think
You should be an organizational leader, or team leader at least.
Yeah, I'm a team leader. So I'm not an organizational yet. And I think that's because I don't have team leaders. I don't have enough.
That's right.
So I've got the volume. I've got the volume. I've got the rank. But I don't have the team leaders. So that's where.
Yep.
So that needs to be my area of focus.
Absolutely. So what you need to do is you need to have like green and red, right? Green means I've fulfilled the commissions, the Success Club, the highest paid rank. Red is my weak leg volume is not where it needs to be, or my PS team leaders are not yet developed. Simple as that, right? As far and really focus on that. I wouldn't focus on the rank. You'll get that, obviously. I would really focus on, okay, if I'm a business starter trying to get to business leader, what am I missing? And then work on that which you're missing, right? The one thing that would be nice to have would be like that green and red.
That's really what I was going to say. If we looked at this and it showed us our green red, then okay, that's the one. Because with this now, I have to go back and look at that other report and, okay, that's the area.
Exactly.
I was also going to say, so for us to understand, well, why do I want to be the next level? I mean, is it just kind of like, well, I want to go from emerald to diamond because that's really cool? What does the next level represent to us? Does it represent money? Does it represent business stability? All of the above? Tell us why it's important to progress through the ladder.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So on a couple different areas why. Number one, obviously you're progressing. You need progression. You need to have something to shoot for, right? So that you're going towards something. Number two, as we've looked at all these numbers, it's clear to us that if you can focus on all those criteria, that's going to solidify your business. You want a solid business. At the end of the day, that's what you want. But all those other criteria, by the way, influence your volume, which influences your paycheck. Okay? That's really what it's about. It's about developing a strong volume that creates residual income, essentially. That's really the end goal. The end goal is just to make sure that we're building solid businesses. And let me tell you, the thinking behind that is there is now money, and then there is like forever money, okay? The now money, if you look at our compensation plan, is the retail commissions that you can get by selling challenge packs, right? But we don't want you guys to become salespeople where you're selling every single month, where you're as good as the last sale from last month. What we want you to develop is a strong, solid residual income business that, you do go to Sydney and you hang out there for 2 weeks. You don't worry about it because you've built a strong, solid business based on residual income volume. Make sense? So that's the end goal. The end goal is to build strong later money that is always going to be there, that you don't have to worry about recreating every single month, right?
That's where the freedom comes from. That's where the freedom comes from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question. And so that really is the goal, Deb. The goal is to develop strong, solid businesses, but to also show you that it is possible. That you're not that far. You're like a team leader away, or you're, volume away, or all this other stuff, right? Let me just say one more thing. As far as volume, I think volume is the determining factor to building volume is how many Emerald coaches you can develop.
Okay.
I spoke to a coach, that at the beginning of this year, she was a diamond coach. Right now, she's a 7-star diamond. Do you know that she stopped focusing on advancements? She just focused on developing Emerald coaches.
Mm-hmm.
She says, if I can be the very best at developing like a ton of Emerald coaches, she debunked Emerald coach and said, it's just 2 people.
Yeah.
It's 2 people. Let me just focus on 2 people.
Exactly.
Okay. And she started developing all these Emerald coaches. She's a 5-star diamond, 7-star qualifying right now. That's the one thing she did. The second thing that she did is she said, I'm going to find my voice. She was going all over Facebook trying to imitate all these people, and her message changed from one month to the other, right? It went from one message to the other, and she was like, okay, who am I? She said, who am I? And who do I want in my business? She said, I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids. I'm still in my journey. She's not at her after picture. I'm still in the middle of my journey. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed out, and I want some freedom, and I want to create a tribe, okay? And guess what? I was at a leadership retreat this past weekend, and I could tell. You're part of her team. You're part of her team. You're part of her team. Like I could tell. And she says her name is her team name is funny. It's Mom B, MOMBIE, and I was like, Mom B Fitness. What's that? I'm a mom who's a zombie. Like I'm a zombie. Like I'm like trying to just go through the day, and I'm like trying to find myself, but not connected with people. Like it literally took off, and she's part of these mom groups, and she's like speaking their language. She's like, oh my gosh, you feel like that too? I feel like that. Here's what I've done that has helped me. She gets a ton of customers, and then all these moms are like, hey, so you're also doing, building a little business? Oh, I'll do that. And she says, yeah, the first thing you need to become an Emerald. Like she doesn't say you should become an Emerald. That's when your business starts.
Yeah.
And she's a 7-star diamond right now, right? So I thought it was.
No, that's good. And that's why, you told me that. And that's why on my monthly goals, I always have emeralds, number of emeralds that we're targeting to hit.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've taken more than 30 minutes of your time. So appreciate that. But
absolutely. Love speaking to Dare to Dream.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad we recorded this because it's really great stuff. I know everyone's going to love it.
Yeah. I was going to say there's just one last thing. I'm going here to my back office. If you want to learn more, kind of like we created a kind of a roadmap saying do this, know this. I'll send you the breakdown, Deb, and you can share with the team. See training for, there it is. I'll share my screen really quick just so you can see it. This page here will actually show you, okay, you're a business starter.
Yeah, definitely.
Coaches, I
love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And know this, right? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you go to, okay, you're an Emerald Ruby. You're a team builder. Okay, do this, know this, right? Yeah. And so on and so forth. So you can use this actually for you that have teams that have PS coaches, you can use it to train your teams as well.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a great reminder. I want to incorporate that into our Coach Basics as well. So,
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks, Patty, for getting on with us.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye, Arnaud.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye. Take care.
Good to meet you, Arnaud.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
nice meeting you. Au revoir.
Good to meet you.
Au revoir.
Bon, à la prochaine. Bye-bye.
Ciao.